We're delighted to be invited to be associate artists for the Spitalfields Festival. It's our 30th anniversary season, and in selecting the music, I think I wanted to look back to the music that we've done over many years, but also to give a snapshot of where we are at the moment. I think once upon a time we were known almost exclusively as an early music group, but increasingly as time goes on we spend our time doing as much music from the Romantic and modern periods as the older repertoire. So we've got both the Fairy Queen, which is one of my all-time favourite pieces, Purcell's great semi-opera, which we've done many times over many years, and an interesting programme which I think we're perhaps sort of uniquely qualified to do, a programme of Stravinsky, but also Stravinsky looking back on the Renaissance polyphonists that Stravinsky much admired. So we're mixing old music and new music there, which is something we'd like to do quite a lot. And then finally we have a new programme for us, which is a music of entirely 20th century song or vocal part song, where we're looking at all sorts of extraordinary music by many of the most famous British composers of the 20th century, but music around the theme of nature. It's called rather intriguingly Music, Silence and a Blue Bird, and the title of that will become obvious when you go to the concert. It's been very interesting running Gabrieli's for 30 years now. I never particularly planned to start my career as an early musician. In fact, 20th century music was what I studied most at university. But in a sense, I'm very glad that that little accident happened, because I was forced to introduce myself to all sorts of amazing music from the 16th and 17th century, grew to love it very much. And as we've moved on in repertoire, and I've moved back to the music that I knew most as a young man, the symphonic repertoire as a symphonic conductor, but also the 20th century repertoire, it's wonderful to have really understood the earlier music, because it seems to me music does work in a historic continuum, and it's much easier to conduct Brahms if you know Bach and if you know Schütz than to do it the other way around. So I think it's been I'm quite glad that I've lived my life musically as well as inevitably one lives one's life chronologically. One of the things I've always most admired about the Spitalfields Festival, because it's something which is very, very important to me and very important to Gabrieli's, is that education work, which is a phrase I would never use, but I have to describe it loosely as that, should be a central part of the artistic mission. It seems to me that we expect too much if we always expect audiences to put on certain clothes and to go to certain concert halls and behave in certain ways. And over many, many years, the quality of work that's gone on in Spitalfields in their outreach work has been really quite exemplary, and some of the most exciting work that's gone on in that field. So it's particularly nice that they're extending that work even to really the sort of people that we would never consider as suitable for music by introducing music to very little kids. And I rather like the idea of a musical rumpus, because it sort of, well, I think it probably suggests a degree of anarchy, and I think it's really nice if the classical music world addresses that and just perhaps gives a temptation to young people to become involved in culture, and also to their families and their parents. A lot of people avoid access to culture because they think it's inaccessible, and I hope that if we introduce music and culture to people at a young age, however lightly that might be and however young that might be, it will affect the future generations. It's great to be invited to be our associate artist of the Spitalfields Festival, not least because we worked in Spitalfields so often, both on our own of our own volition, but also as part of the festival over many, many years. And I'm particularly pleased because we're doing three programmes which celebrate not only our historic work as an early music group, but also some of the more modern work we do into the 20th century. And as always with Spitalfields, there's an opportunity to do very adventurous programming, so we're very happy to be there. Okay. I do think often at Spitalfields there are many concerts which I would actually like to go to if I wasn't nearly always conducting somewhere. I think the quality of the programming and the imagination is often very, very high, and has traditionally been very high in the festival. Spitalfields is always a little bit off the wall in its programming, and I think it's fantastic that it exists precisely for that reason. So it's wonderful to see so many artists there. I mean, one particular artist who I know has plugged Gabrieli, and I'm very happy to plug him in return, is of course the cellist Matthew Barley, although really to call him a cellist doesn't do any justice to the range of his musical interests. He is, apart from being a superlative performer, somebody who constantly challenges perceptions about music and the way we think about music and the types of music we play. So And I hope that's something we also do very strongly in Gabrieli's. So I'm sure that whatever he decides to do will always have a twist and something of great interest and imagination. So I'm sure any evening with Matthew is never going to be boring, and I'd certainly recommend that